Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of H.R. 3875, the Department of Homeland Security's CBRNE Defense Act of 2015, and yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
I thank the Speaker very much. Mr. Speaker, we were here 2 days ago, and I said that the American people are looking for the homeland to be safe. And as I stand here today in the backdrop of a recent classified briefing for many members, I again say that the issue of homeland security is not a partisan issue. And I'm very grateful to Mr. McCall and Mr. Thompson, the ranking member, for their bipartisanship and the bipartisanship of this committee. Working alongside of the other jurisdictional committees, that includes my other committee, Judiciary, that has as their ranking Mr. Conyers and the chairman, Mr. Goodlatte, and many other committees. Our commitment should be to secure the American people. And so in this instance, pursuant to the fiscal year 2013 Consolidated and Furthering Appropriations Act, the Department of Homeland Security was directed to evaluate its activities related to preventing and responding to threats posed by chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive CBRNE weapons, and to determine whether there were ways to improve coordination of those activities. Nearly 2 years later, DHS submitted its report to Congress and requested that certain activities and offices within the department be consolidated to create a center of gravity for the DHS CBRNE activities. H.R. 3875 seeks to implement much of the department's proposal. In particular, the bill would bring the Office of Health Affairs, the Domestic Nuclear Detection Office, the Office of Bombing Prevention, the Chemical and Biological Risk Assessment Activities, Science and Technology Directorate, and staff from the Office of Policy and Office of Coordination Operations together in a single office headed by a new Assistant Secretary. I distinctly remember being in some of the meetings and hearings that drew about some of these coordinated activities, and I believe the new Assistant Secretary will be a very effective tool for making America safer. During committee consideration of the measure, the committee accepted an amendment authored by Ranking Member Thompson to protect the missions of the offices brought together and present some of the disruption that could be caused by this kind of reorganization. The amendment acknowledges that this reorganization will likely necessitate new expenditures. For instance, DHS may need to utilize retention bonuses to retain highly skilled, much sought-after nuclear and biodefense experts who otherwise will leave DHS because of their lowered position and reduced prospects for advancement. I believe we should do that. Ranking Member Thompson's amendment also protects the role of the Chief Medical Officer as a leader within the Department on public health and medical issues by preserving the CMO's direct line to the Secretary. The amendment allows for the establishment of a health division within the new office, which could serve as a base of operations for the Chief Medical Officer's public health. Might I comment very briefly further on this? We have found that we live in a situation where whether it's a natural disaster, but in this instance, a terrorist situation that comes about, there is certainly major needs for coordinated health activities that a person briefed and informed and trained on the DHS or with the expertise can give to local entities and states. For example, a hospital in my community, St. Joseph Hospital, is the only hospital in a very intense downtown urban center. And we would be interested in making sure that all of those systems, health systems, work. As a nation, we cannot afford to have focus and attention towards CBRNE mission diminished as a result of the unavoidable staff upheaval and infighting associated with any reorganization of this order. Accordingly, I'm pleased that H.R. 3875, as amended, will help bolster the Department's ability to carry out this reorganization without diminishing its ability to continue to carry out CBRNE mission. With that, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman reserves. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have no more speakers. If the gentlelady from Texas has no further speakers, I'm prepared to close once the gentlelady does.
I thank the gentleman, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much for your leadership. I do not have any further speakers, but I would like to close and to thank the committee as well for considering a bill that is now being reviewed, and I want to thank the committee, H.R. 85, Terrorism Prevention and Critical Infrastructure Protection Act, which I hope, contributes to all of our discussions about securing America. But this bill, in particular, H.R. 3875, would consolidate important CBRNE activities within the Department of Homeland Security. I am hopeful that this reorganization will improve DHS' ability to carry out its mission in this space. Today, the diversity in the terrorist landscape is unprecedented. There are actors with aspirations to hit Western targets with deadly conventional weapons. There are also actors that are actively seeking to secure radiological and other non-conventional weaponry to exact maximum death, destruction, and chaos. The Department of Homeland Security, first established after 9/11, has been designated and dictated to by the American people to keep them safe. It has an important role to play to address these threats. It is my great hope that this reorganization will help DHS take its CBRNE efforts to the next level. With that, I yield back my time and ask my colleagues to support this legislation.
The gentlewoman yields. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman's recognized.
Let me first thank my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, Ms. Jackson Lee, Mr. Thompson, for your coordination on this bill. I think this committee, probably more than any other one, has operated in a very bipartisan fashion. I'm proud of that as chairman. I think in matters of national security, that's how we should operate, to reach across the aisle to get good things done for the American people, to make them safer. So let me just say thank you for that. I don't have to remind you, Mr. Speaker, the threats that are real out there. We get the classified briefing on San Bernardino, the pipe bombs that were manufactured in Dabiq magazine, ISIS's latest publication. They discuss the ease with which to move a nuclear device through transnational criminal organizations into the Western Hemisphere, through Mexico and across our southwest border. That's precisely the kind of threat that this bill is designed to stop. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to support this bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill H.R. 3875 as amended? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.